What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the 5 Cents Podcast. I'm joined with the usual crew, and today we're gonna do our best to tell y'all a little bit about what's going on in the world. But first, let y'all know the boys a little bit. Introduce yourself. What's up, Jay? How you doing this week?
Hey, what up, y'all?
Jackson, how you been? How you been?
I'm doing good.
Josh, what's up? What's up?
Chilling, bro.
And last but not least, that man Nico. How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good, man. What's up?
So I like to hear. So this week, start us off with a little something interesting. You know, I like to throw a little music every time I'm the host. So there's been a trend going on Instagram. I think it was Rap Caviar put out early this week a hip hop rap Mount Rushmore for this decade. And there's been a lot of contests or a lot of controversy over who they put in the last spot. So the three cemented people, as I'm sure y'all can all guess, they had Kendrick, they had Cole, and they had Drake. But they had the fourth spot was left open for the people to decide who they wanted to put in there. And the top two artists that people voted on to be in the Mount Rushmore for that 2010 era was Future and Nicki Minaj. And so first off, I just want to hear y'all's opinion before y'all give anybody else. If y'all had to pick between Future and Nicki Minaj to be in that spot, who do y'all got and why?
I'm gonna start off first. First, disclaimer: none of them should be up there. Just me. None of them should. No. But if I had to choose between both of those two, I definitely would have to go with Nicki Minaj.
Great.
As of right now, I do not mess with Nicki Minaj's music. But if I think about like what she did with like Young Money and like the Pink Print, like definitely like me like middle school, high schoolish vibes, and that's like the span of like 8 years. Nicki Minaj was doing her thing very consistently. A lot of her songs hitting top 20, top 10. So I definitely think that she deserves it more. I think that Future, I don't think that his fame, like where he hit his peak, started at like 2010. I'd say that he like missed out like on a couple years. Like so I think Nicki Minaj was just more relevant for more at the time, even though Nicki Minaj also like fell off towards like the end of the 10 years. But that's just me. What y'all got?
For me, I'd have to go with Nicki Minaj too. I agree with a lot with what you were saying, Josh, and like you were saying, like Future, he didn't come into the scene till later on in the 2010s, but Nicki Minaj, she was like always there, and also as Nicki Minaj being like a good female rapper, she set the she paved the way for a lot of upcoming female artists. A lot of times when we associate with goats and like top artists in like the rap culture, we talk about those that like pave the way for other rappers and are influential. So that's why I'd have to go with her.
Before you keep going, just as a reference, so for Future, Pluto came out in 2012 and Pink Friday came out in 2010. They were about on the same little spot where they started out. But go ahead and on the next opinion.
I think it's an issue of I agree with y'all. I think it has to be Nicki Minaj between those two. And not even to argue like who's better, but simply if you were to argue like magnitude, like who owned more of the rap scene in the 2010s. This is no disrespect to Future. I like a lot of his music, but I think between those two, Nicki Minaj had a much more lasting impact, especially in the 2010s. Like Future's become a bit of a meme recently in like a good way, kind of like joking about king of misogyny and all that, but in a good way for his career, I should say. But when it comes to like actual musical impact, I feel like Nicki was far deeper in the scene at the time. But I like you said, Josh, I don't really think I would choose either of them if given the opportunity. I think if you asked me if you told me Nicki was up there because like Nico said, she paved the way for a variety of female artists, like female rappers especially. I mean, I think that's a very worthy claim to put her on the list. But in my personal list, I still don't think I'd have her up there.
My personal list. Are we doing personal list right now?
Yeah, don't get to that yet.
Okay, cool. All right, I got you.
Zay, did you have any input on this first part for this topic?
They're both garbage.
Ooh-wee.
They're both garbage, but Nicki Minaj is a little less garbage. So I guess Nicki. That's all I gotta say on that. I don't really have
That's
I
crazy.
I apologize to any of their fans in the
Straight to the
listenership.
He said they're both garbage.
It is
Right,
what
and
it
I'm
is.
talking
So-
about we're talking about when they're technically in their prime, and you just called them little garbage, bro.
they're
You,
both
hey, bro,
garbage.
you
Their
finna get
prime,
bro, you
their
know that, bro.
prime. It's just because I don't know. Their prime was still ass to me because even in their prime, I didn't listen to them. I didn't listen to Future. I didn't listen to Nicki. I thought they were both trash. They're trash now. I thought they were trash then. Regardless of what they put out, like, they do their numbers, so okay, the numbers speak for themselves. Yes, I'll give them the numbers, but my personal opinion, there has never been, never will be any Nicki Minaj or Future in any of my playlists or any of my music. I've never listened to them. I don't know much about their history. I don't know what they've done. I don't know any of their albums because I think they're trash. I don't listen to them. But thinking in a general sense, Nicki Minaj, there's Future, and when he was around, you said 2010, 2012-ish, well, I just didn't listen to him, like, at all. But I knew who Nicki Minaj was because she was in, the whole Young Money thing. So simply because I knew her because she was in Young Money, I'd pick her over Future because I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing about Future. So I couldn't even give an opinion on him if I wanted to.
Bro,
Got
real
you,
quick,
got
Zay. So you're telling me
Yes,
no March
yes.
Madness and no playlist, bro? Never before. You telling me no Miss Me with the Up All Night?
Turn
I
on the
mean, with like
lights.
Drake, like there.
No, that
no,
song is
and
funny,
some
but no,
commas.
it never touched the playlist.
Damn.
I'll put it on my playlist.
Turn off
I
the
was
lights.
Hey,
Now,
But I was
what are the
laughing.
songs?
Hey, bro, Diamonds,
Wait, hold on,
Dancing,
Josh. Before you said
Plastic Bag,
lights,
Scholarships.
what were the other songs that you named? And who were they
Like-
by? Who are you talking about?
Okay, so March Madness is by Future.
That's the
You could
anthem.
do like the whole album that had like Jumpman and like Big Rings.
Yeah.
Had
Oh,
albums
no,
by
I
Drake.
came out.
hated that, bro. I hated that album. And that, in my opinion, is one of Drake's worst album. It's so trash. That shit is, oh, no. That album is ass.
So I'm gonna just leave it at Zay does not like either artist because it sounds like there's no convincing whatsoever that either of them have any word for
Yeah,
him.
no, Zay's had enough. He don't want to hear their names.
But I actually personally I choose Future because
Okay.
in my opinion a lot of Nicki Minaj's influence was mainly due to YMCMB. It wasn't really of her other than like Peak Friday and some of her mixtapes. Her influence on a lot of artists nowadays, I feel like more kind of from the female point came from like Lil Kim and people like her, were like kind of were inspired the new female generation. And Nicki did a lot, in my opinion. I fuck with Nicki, but I feel like Future literally birthed this whole trap genre that we have right now and took it just to whole new heights. That like there would be no Lil Baby without Future, there would be no Gunna without Future. There'd be no Lil Durk wouldn't be as popular as he is right now without Future. Like things like that. I kind of looked at it more from an influence on today's artist versus kind of in general. Because I feel like the same influence that Nicki would have would go to like Drake having. If that makes sense. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, my thing is on that. You can't tell me that Nicki Minaj didn't help bring up people like Meg or Cardi B. You could technically like challenge or like more like on the scene because especially with like what's going on to today's society, that female aspect is like so much higher right now. I guess it's like more of what go
to
ahead.
me, that's more of I say Nicki inspires artists. Future inspired an entire genre, in my opinion, and I feel like that influence kind of goes a little bit farther for me at least.
I think that depends on if you put all of the influence for trap on Future. I think there's a lot of people around that time era who you could like spiral off and give some credit to. I mean, like I feel like Future and Migos fit more or less the same niche. I don't necessarily know who came first. I couldn't tell you who coined I guess their style first, but I feel like you could argue both of those inspired a lot of the Atlanta rappers, or at least that style of rap. And so, considering that those are both juggernauts on the scene, like Future and Migos are both huge, but Nicki at the time was really the only woman of her caliber doing that. That's why I'd have to stand by my answer, because you're absolutely right. If we're saying that Future, like if the point is that Future inspired the genre like by himself, I agree with you entirely. But from my perspective, there were a lot of artists at the time who did make pretty big waves, but not as big as he did. But there were a lot more artists contributing to that genre who like had spin-offs and styles, whereas there were a few female artists who even like were close to Nicki's number. She was pretty much in her own.
I think Young Thug was one of them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young Thug came in more of like I guess he kind of took the T-Pain auto tunes and kind of meshed it with the trap, kind of like that little beat type stuff. So, but yeah, I definitely feel like, and I think the other point I had, kind of just to play a little more devil's advocate, I gave to Future, is he was a lot more consistent throughout the 2010s. After kind of Pink Friday and a lot of the features on YMCMB, there wasn't really, in my opinion, I kind of fall towards more Zay's opinion with Nicki Minaj. But kind of Future, you got, you had all the way from Dirty Sprite until like 2018 where he dropped like Future Hendrix and shit like that. So he had a lot more, his longevity lasted a little longer, which I feel like it also kind of has to do with that genre being a little bit more popular towards the end of the decade. But that was another point I wanted to add in as well.
And so, about to come in with the historical relevance argument. I was if we were speaking purely on like the quality of the artist, then I would agree with you. Like if we were just talking about who's a better rapper, I would give you Future over Nicki Minaj. But given that, like, I mean, you could even like, I don't know if this is what they meant when they said the Mount Rushmore concept, but I mean, it comes with its merits to say this. Like, you have who else on the like Mount Rushmore? Isn't Washington on there? He's got to be.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the actual Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, the actual.
Yeah. It's like
Let's look it up.
Jefferson and some other dudes. I forget.
And some other dudes.
It's Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. Yeah. And so, like, if you wanna look at it this way, like, I know this probably isn't as deep as they were wanting to take it, but this is the way I looked at it when you asked me the question. Mount Rushmore exists not because these four men were the four greatest men of quality who ever led this nation, right? Because, I mean, two of them lived pre-1800 or before early 1800, so they hadn't even seen the Emancipation Proclamation. They hadn't seen it. Like, we were still in the ages of horrors in this nation. So we can't argue that, like, oh, they're the best people who ever led this country. That would be absurd. They're there because they were some of the most influential. So it's not necessarily the quality of their actions from a moral perspective, and at least in historical sense. But I mean, George Washington, first president. Thomas Jefferson, Louisiana Purchase, and wrote the Declaration of Independence. Theodore Roosevelt, big stick diplomacy, Panama Canal, American spirit. Abraham Lincoln, obviously, running to the war, things like that. They're all men who paved a way in a sense. Like, they had great acts. So when it comes to Nicki, in my mind, I don't have much Nicki on my playlist. I don't think she's that good. I think as an overall artist, she's outclassed by a lot of her peers. But in terms of her influence, I think she supersedes Future as a sole name brand influencer. Because even though she was with Young Money and stuff like that, she did a lot. She really did help pave the way for a lot of female artists. She was one of the first women on the rap scene who got that to that level and took the amount of heat that she did, whether or not it was warranted, but she did a lot of the groundbreaking, in my opinion.
Well, I feel like we've somewhat individually and at other times had this conversation, but when you think about it, so the names that we have up there, right? So we have Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, right? So in their own right, during that time, they were great in making music. A lot of people hate on Drake. I don't care what you say. Drake's probably on your playlist, so you can shut up. But Nate begs to differ. But during that time period,
you have my playlist.
You can't tell me that.
So you have my playlist. Okay. So I'm not.
No, that's true. That's true. Okay, but for most people, at least. So from a music standpoint, in their genres, they excel. Like Drake. Damn it, we damn near say that we're just listening to Drake as a genre. That's how much he impacted his sound. And then Kendrick and J. Cole, two of the best rappers to ever do it. So from the music aspect, they're set. And then when you think about their influence, who they paved the way for, what their name brand is at, you think about the record labels they're a part of and the other people they put on. So you have that aspect.
Yep.
And then you just think about it in terms of like their overall, like I guess like their social influence. So like that's like the third aspect, and that's what makes you a go. That's what puts you on like Mount Rushmore, because like you said, like those people weren't necessarily the greatest of people, but it's like the type of impacts that they did definitely like paved the way for the U.S. today. So it's almost like what paved the way for music today from the 2010s. So that's why those three are on there. Now that I think about it, probably both of them definitely shouldn't have been the top two. The only problem for me is I can't think of a person to put up there. Maybe they just haven't come to my mind yet, but do y'all got some?
You've got some time right now, because that's the next topic. Personally, if you could choose one kind of like OG artist from that decade to put in, because that's actually why I didn't choose Nicki.
Frame?
It's from 2010 to 2020. 2010 to 2010.
Oh, 2010 to 2020?
Yeah.
I got one.
Because my artist was actually Lil Wayne.
Future and Nicki Minaj from 2010 to 2020.
Yeah, because that's when Pink Friday came out in 2010, and not Lil Wayne, oh my god, Future started like all of his mixtapes at the beginning of the 2010s and came out with like Dirty Sprite 2, Hendrix, all that in that decade.
Nico's got one down there, it looked like.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say Nicki, because my personal pick would be Wayne, because I feel like Wayne covers up. Honestly, if No Ceilings had come out instead of in 2009 and 2010, he'd definitely be in there for sure. But I feel like Wayne's influence covers up Nicki Minaj's influence and Drake's. Carter 3 came out.
My problem with Wayne is to me, Wayne is in the 2000 to the 2010 era. Yeah, he kept making good music till like, in my opinion, like 2014, 2015-ish. But like, I think that he's an era before that. Does that make sense?
Well, no, Lil Wayne. The reason why I know where you're going at, but I wouldn't say that simply because he transitioned, which carried him into the next era, which made him a part of that next era. Because you could honestly say that he was, you could say he was even an era before that.
That's what it makes sense.
But he transitioned from there, was a big artist then, transitioned into the 2010s, was a big artist then, and like people recognized him as a giant pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And half the Carters still came out in between 2010 and 2020. No Ceilings 2, I'm Not a Human Being 1 and 2.
When did Carter 3 come out?
I know Carter 4 was 2012. I'm not exactly sure on that.
I feel like Carter 3 came out in like,
Carter 3 might have been 2009, I think.
If it was,
actually,
that was a good album.
Because like,
you know what? I would honestly,
it was 2008.
I would put Lil Wayne up there because I remember, honestly, but just over Nicki and Future, yes, because he made one song. And if it came out when I think it did, that one song was better than their whole anything they ever fucking came out with.
That's a lot of songs for me. And I just think to this day, name any event that you go to that you don't hear Swag and Surfing in. Even though I know that came out at the end of 2009. Like, this man has come out with songs to this day that are still just heavily relevant for 10 years straight. That came out at the beginning of the decade, in my opinion. That's why I put him. I put him up there instead of those two personally. But that's the first artist that came to my mind. If No Ceilings would have came out in 2010 instead of 2009, he'd be on there for sure, in my opinion, like 100%. But
Nico, who did you have?
I thought about it, and then I realized it wasn't a good one.
Oh, just go ahead and say it though. Who knows,
bro? Okay, so we're talking about from 2010s to 2020s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Travis Scott didn't start popping till later on in the 10s.
Yeah.
But Travis Scott is a very influential artist.
Very true.
And that's why I would put him up there. But if we're talking about like through the whole like span, then I guess that kind of like knocks him off because he wasn't really as relevant earlier on than he is now. You know,
I don't know about that one.
I don't know.
And see, Travis Scott is my favorite artist. My favorite. But if we're going as far as a Mount Rushmore and influence, he was popular, but as far as influence goes,
I think he has a lot.
Let me give y'all the correct
answer. I don't think so.
The correct answer is Kanye West.
That's another one I thought about.
I don't think you could debate in terms of influence. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out.
Well, no, see, Kanye.
Life of
Kanye's
Pablo
actually
came
the
out in
perfect
2016.
combination.
Yeah.
He had
I think
influence
it has
and
to be
good
Kanye.
music.
I think it has to be Kanye.
I just thought for me, which I don't know the exact dates, I need to check, but I feel like a lot of. Actually, let me check before I say this.
There's a lot of good stuff that came out beforehand, but just from saying my Beautiful Dark
But
Fantasy and the Life of Pablo in the 2010s,
and Watch the Throne in 2011.
And he put so many people on, is what I'm saying. That was a lot.
That's true. The thing
Kanye
about
is one
me
of the grandfathers of modern rap.
See, that's my thing. So are we limiting? So we're not limiting people to an era, right? Because I would have preferred to put like Lil Wayne.
That's not. No. We are.
Yes,
but
we are.
Like that's another thing. You can't say Kanye is limited to that era because he kept going through multiple eras. So he's like those type of artists that go through multiple eras are like for those eras that they were prevalent. They're timeless. They can be put in one. They can be put in both. Yeah. It could be vice versa because they still were. It'd be different if like. They had their influence from 1990 to 2000 and then they just kind of fell off and then just put people on here and there. That's one thing, but we're talking about people who made popular music in the 2000 2008 2009 area, even though we're talking about 2010 to 2020, and then they made more music in between the 2010 2020. So if their influence and their music stopped before 2010, then I don't think we can consider them for this particular amount.
Okay. That's the way I thought about it.
If you think of the 4 like most influential, biggest name brand for their quality, most well respected as an artist or hated as an artist for being on the scene for too long, like the people who are the pillars which modern rap stands on.
Yeah, I can say Kanye or Lil Wayne.
Cole, Drake, Kanye, and you can throw Lil Wayne, you can throw a bunch more on there. But I think if we're only choosing one, and then Kendrick, Cole, and Drake are already chosen for us, it has to be Ye, because he put so many people on. He revolutionized the style of mixing and making beats.
Well, what about Eminem?
See, and I was thinking Eminem's pre-2010. Almost all of Eminem's good.
Just gonna say that Eminem is definitely around Rushmore from 2000.
So if we go 2000 to 2010, Wayne and Eminem are untouchably on there. You can't even debate it. They're 1 and 2, if not 3.
Bro, like I said,
but Eminem's prime wasn't the 2010s.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I'd say like the influence that we're looking at is based on their music starting at 2010 and up. That's kind of like for me. Like Travis Scott wouldn't be on there just because he's so new. You can't see his influence yet. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Or like for an artist like Eminem, it's been too long. What were you gonna say?
Think of it this way: like Eminem isn't the like label brand that Kanye is, or like the like influencer that Kanye is. He's a better like if we want to talk raw skill with a microphone and lyricism, Eminem wins that one over Kanye. But if we want to talk influence on music, I still think it goes to Kanye. Because Eminem is the king of getting on there and saying what he wants to say. But I feel like Kanye made more artistic music. And he really was a good example of bringing true artistry into rap music in a good way. Like, he did a very good job with it.
So
I think he has to be
Kanye a lot, too.
Exactly. I think he has to be number 4. I don't think that's debatable.
I support Kanye at number 4. I think his impact in producing has also changed the game. Like, you have to realize that Kanye did more than just rap. Like, he produced too.
He's got it.
And then he, like, when you say put people on, like, one of my favorite artists who is like looked at as probably like high mid caliber. What's his name? Damn it, I almost blanked. Chance the Rapper.
Amazing.
I love Chance. And like literally Kanye put Chance on, bro. And I appreciate Kanye for that.
Chance like and then he was mid and now he is that bullshit.
Hey, but that last song he dropped that Josh and I listened to.
Bro, Josh were talking about it. Something had to happen because he was so happy before and he was making ass music.
So I don't know. Bro, his wife are on bad terms because he dropped some heat. I was like, bro.
But yeah, what I was saying is the song that he has multiple songs. Lil Wayne has multiple songs that I think are better than anything Future and Nicki Minaj has ever put out, and it was on the Carter 4, and
That's
I
the
don't know.
album for me, to be
I
honest.
think the Carter 4 was 2011.
Okay.
I think, and like my personal favorite on the Carter 4 was She Will. That was my personal favorite.
Man.
That's a good song, bro.
I was about to say.
And Nightmares of the Bottom was another good one.
Yep.
Shit, he fucking surprised me with How to Love. Like,
I'm indifferent.
Mirror. You remember Mirror with Bruno Mars, bro? Mirror.
Yeah.
Like,
That's such
to
a
me,
great
those
song.
songs are like, those are better than anything that, in my opinion, those songs
you're
that
right.
he made are better than anything Nicki Minaj and Future have and probably will ever come out with. Like, even if they tried, they could not touch that. And I don't know how they got there. I don't know how the fuck they got there. But
they do have their own influence in their own
Just
because we don't like their music, they definitely have a lot of influence.
No, I agree with Zay on this one. I disagree.
It's
I think those two are
disrespectful to
great.
put them up there because
Agreed.
of everybody else that was in that in that era. You think
those two are great, but you're overlooking
it's disrespectful to say, even if the point that we've come up, it's disrespectful to say that Nicki Minaj and Future belong on that 2010-2020 Mount Rushmore more than Kanye does.
They don't. Yeah.
Well, you can't say I'm being disrespectful by completely No, I'm not. I'm just not overrating their bullshit. That's what I'm not doing.
Okay, but the only problem that I'm having with you, Zay, is because you already have your opinion that they have always sucked, like, and never have been better than us.
Ooh.
So the way that you say stuff to me is like a little off. Like, I agree with you that their quality of music did not reach that, but you just can't
I'm not overlooking like their popularity. I know that there are people out there that like their music. I know that they are influential. I know. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying they don't have it. I'm giving them that. As far as as far as that goes, I don't know much about them, so I can't argue that. I'm not arguing that. What y'all are saying about the people they put on, the people that followed their style, paving the way, I have never once disagreed with any of that. I'm giving them that. I'm just saying, that there's no way that you put those two up there.
I agree.
For the last spot.
As some reference as well, so they actually did a poll I just found as well. So this is the numbers that came. So I agree with you now because this shit is downright disrespectful. So Nicki Minaj won the last spot. She got 39.9%. Kanye was in second with 33.1%. Future had 17.9% and Wayne had 9.1% in the final vote. What? So Nicki got the final spot in the vote.
Bro,
what did they ask? Who answered?
Who?
Now,
it was just a poll on Twitter.
Why do y'all say me?
Come in the comments.
Well, y'all know
if you answered this poll, if you answered this poll, and you
know who they asked.
If you answered this poll, and you for real think that Nicki Minaj deserves that spot over Kanye, come in the comments, right? Explain yourself. I promise I'll give a detailed answer as to why I disagree with you. And then after you've done that, smack the shit out of yourself because you're not seeing shit. I don't know how to explain it.
I'm disrespectful.
Nah, that was disrespectful. Listen up. Now, I am more on your side. The only problem I had with what you were saying was you can't give an opinion about their music if you haven't listened to it, though. Like this man was just saying stuff. I hadn't heard the songs.
Obviously, I've heard it. That's how I know I don't like it.
I heard it the once, and that
We
was
heard
enough.
enough.
All I'm saying is, if you're at a party
enough
and you
of
hear
it,
March
bro.
Madness come on and you don't
I
turn
used
up,
to
I
hear
don't know
that
what you're
shit.
doing, bro.
I used to hear that
That's
shit
what I'm
playing on
saying,
the
bro.
radio all the time when my parents were taking me to school. I used to hear that shit on the radio all the time. It was everywhere. I heard it, and that's how I know I don't fucking like it. That's how I know I
That
thought
good
it was
shit,
ass.
huh?
Hey, it has to be. It has to be Kanye. I feel like we can all agree. It has to be Kanye.
Is that
Yeah.
what we're agreeing on, Kanye?
It
It
gotta
could
be
be
Oh,
Ye.
Nico
Kanye with
got
a
me.
close Lil
Wait,
Wayne
Nico, what you saying?
or either?
It gotta be Ye, bro.
It got to be A.
It
We'll
gotta
give
be
it to
Ye.
Ye. The 5
Yeah,
cents
he's
is
the
spoken.
way.
But that leads
The
me
lyrical
into
genius.
the little last
Yeah,
section of
because
this.
you know what? He did drop a beautiful, twisted, dark fantasy, and
That's what I
right
think
in
puts over the edge.
2010.
2010, baby.
That's what I
Power.
think
Right
to
in
put it over
That
the
is
Northern
one
edge.
of
Lights.
my favorite
Runaways.
albums
Yeah.
of all
Gorgeous.
time.
Who will
So
survive in America?
Yeah,
Blame
nah.
Game. Lost in the World. Hell of a life.
Now those songs are always in the playlist, bro.
They're on every
Man.
in movies and TV shows. You don't even
Yep.
think about hearing them, but you hear them.
man, we did not. You know what? We can't even get
But
into that
before, so we can move on a little bit. This is the last part of this topic that I kind of wanted to throw in. Is for a new school artist, who do you think might have a spot in the future on this mount? Just one artist you think out of everybody coming up right now, who do you think might have a spot to be on this Mount Rushmore for the next decade? So, but for me, I was personally, my first artist. This is low key my favorite artist, as everybody who on the panel knows. This man Deontay Hitchcock is, as soon as he gets some recognition, he's gonna be at the top of the charts for everything. This man was on Revenge of the Dreamers before he even put out his first album. He had just been putting out LPs and tapes. This man has so much influence. Even through the pandemic, he was putting out music videos. He put out a whole live album that he put out. Also better, if you haven't heard it yet, go ahead and peep it. It's the best thing you're finna hear for at least a couple weeks. That man Deontay
Listen to
Hitchcock is
Angels.
up next. Angels,
It's very
man,
good.
that's what I'm saying. Literally every song has just like the different twist to it that you won't heard before, and he's really one of the best artists representing the South right now. That man's from Atlanta, so if you haven't heard of him, go ahead, treat yourself and you listen to that man Deontay Hitchcock. But
For real.
my second pick, a little bit more mainstream, I gotta go with that man Roddy Ricch, just because he is already reinventing the type of sound that you hear in music every single day. Like, it reminds me kind of how T-Pain came into the game. He just started doing just random stuff, just crazy, and it hit. Every song hit. So in the same way, that man Roddy Ricch is coming on every feature, gas. Every song he comes on just sounds so different. Like, there's not another artist who can make a song sound like Roddy Ricch can, in my opinion. So those are my two picks for the upcoming Mount Rushmore. What do y'all got?
I got you next. So my first pick, I'm gonna go with my boy Smino. He is one of the vibiest rap artists you'll ever listen to. When I listen to this man, I just want to relax, man. This dude will just get you through a time. I think that his type of music is starting to become like more relevant, and he's starting to help a lot of more low key artists get put on because people are pushing for like the genre of rap that he produces. And like I don't think that his vibe is like slowing down anytime soon. For my second one, this is who I personally think is going to take over the lyricism game from J. Cole and Kendrick. I got my boy Corday. If you haven't listened to his last album, A Lost Boy, or like The Lost Boy, dude produced straight heat in that album. Like, he is definitely like setting the bar very high for people to come and compete with him in that field. So I'm just ready to see what 10 years what he can do. And I'm gonna slip in a third name.
Oh
And
my
this guy,
lord!
I
Josh,
knew
always
you're
gotta
gonna get
cheat,
mad.
man.
Listen. All I'm gonna say is West Side Boogie. That's it. I'm gonna just drop that name.
Yeah.
Y'all think
Give
about
it
that.
to you.
West Side Boogie.
Y'all learn about that. Don't even think.
I got y'all next. So my two are gonna be. I'm gonna start out. This is my favorite female artist in general at the moment. Her name is Chika, and her music, Chika. Her music is like, I have an electric longboard that I like to just ride around on the streets at night just to vibe out. And her music is so perfect for that. It's almost like a neo Chance. Like, if you took the way that Chance had that old soul in his music, it's just, the word I would use for it is it's saucy. All of the music that she produces is saucy. It just has this really developed, mature flavor to it, mixed over with a very well-spoken like sense of lyricism and position in the music. It's just very good. Like, from an holistic musical perspective, it is very, very good. And so I cannot recommend her enough. She is one of my current favorite artists. And then for my number 2, I got to go with my boy Jid. I think Jid has captured a lot of the like darker rap genre that I enjoy. He's got a lot of that like twisted, like semi-maniac style of rapping. He comes at beats really hard and really fast with a lot to process at once. And he just puts out bangers. I mean, 151 Rum is one of the coolest songs I had heard in a very long time. Just the start all the way to the finish. I think he's a great artist as well. I think those two definitely deserve a contending spot.
Shit, I guess I'll go next. My 2 picks have got to be Blast, BLXST. Just to clarify, because if you tried to look him up, BLXST, Blast. He came out with an album in 2020. If I'm wrong, don't
it's
crucify me. Okay, yeah, I think it was called, what was it? No Love Lost.
Yep. I think
He came out with an album in 2020 called No Love Lost, and that's one of the. I only have 3 albums that I've ever listened to where every single song makes it into my playlist, and that's one of them. That album he came out with, every single song was good. It was a great listen. He doesn't have a lot of music out. I don't think. I think that was like his first. What do they call them? Freshman projects or something. That was like his first album. Just check it out. I think it's really good. He's kind of like he sings, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But he raps. He raps for majority of it. He raps kind of like a Rod Wave, I guess, with the melody. Because he has a melody when he raps. He doesn't just like rap. He has a melody with it. So take that how you want to. And then my second pick would have to be Reason. And the reason why I like Reason is because, man, I just put him on and I literally just lay back in my chair and then next thing I know, like, I've listened to the album 2 times over and I didn't even know that the songs were replaying because I've just been so immersed in like the storyline of the album. He came out with an album in 2018. And I think the song on there was
Better Days.
Better Days was on there, but my personal favorite would have to be. Shoot, let me look because I don't want to butcher the name and then get crucified.
By the triggered Future and Nicki stands who you came for earlier.
Yeah.
You don't even know your favorite artist song.
Since I said Ted, I gotta come correct, or they'll try to fry my ass. Corrupt, Better Days, Drive Slow.
Oh my
They're
god.
all good songs. And then he came out with another album in.
I think it was last year, right?
Yeah, last year, New Beginnings. And that one.
Is that the one that has Extinct, or is that a single?
I think so. Yeah.
That's the one that has Extinct. Yeah. And then he also has a. Speaking of singles, he also has a single, and I think it's called Situationships. Situationships.
It's called
Or
what's that song called?
I think it's called Situationships. I'm pretty sure.
I forgot what it's called, bro.
Nah,
It might just be Situations.
Okay.
It might just be Situations.
Yeah.
If it's just Situations, then it's on his album, the one that came out in 2018. If it's not Situationships, then it's Situations, and that's on the album that came out in 2018.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, but the reason why I like Reason is because I don't really like listening to rap for what they say, because, what most rappers talk about nowadays isn't just something that I can relate to. That lifestyle, that it's not, it just doesn't, not for my crowd, doesn't hit me. Usually when I listen to like rap like that, it's because the beat's hard and nothing more, nothing less. The beat was just hard. Don't really care for what they're saying. But Reason, I would put him up there because in his songs, it's not a story, but it's like topics, relatable topics, in general topics that everybody has been through. You know, everybody's seen. You either, and if you haven't been through it, then you know someone who has. So it's something that everybody can kind of like think about and be like, yeah, you know. And he just takes those topics and he runs away with it, and you know, he has some really good lyrics as far as lyricism goes, as well as an added bonus. So yeah, that's it on that one. Reasons and Fast.
You don't need a reason to listen to Reason.
I'm telling you, one of his lyrics, real quick, I would put you on for the people listening to the podcast. But when this man said so much wool in these raps, you think Uncle Phil of it, bro? I was sitting there like, bro, who are you, bro? That line was so cold. I was just like, bro, like he just got lines like that all over the place, bro. So
Yeah.
definitely check that boy out, bro. He be spitting. Reason
He
be
do
speaking.
be, he do be spitting,
His
bro.
name is Fast.
Hey, I know Nico's sitting on a good pair over there.
I mean, honestly, compared to what y'all picked,
Hey, don't
they probably
downplay your
won't make
artist,
it.
bro.
Don't do
They
that.
probably
Don't
won't make
downplay
it.
your artist.
do
There's still
that.
gas.
Well,
Come
actually,
on now.
look, me personally, bro, I got Don Toliver and I got Lil Baby. So for Don Toliver, the reason why I picked him is because so the sound that Don Toliver brings into the game is so I feel like it's so unique, and I feel like it is heavily inspired by Travis Scott, but I think he puts a new twist on that sound, and it's like, you haven't heard anyone else have a sound like he does. And he only has 2 albums out right now, and he has other singles drifting out. But I feel like a lot of people aren't really listening to the right music and the right songs he has, because I feel like he has so much more potential, and for people to like him and bring him out even more. You feel me? So I don't know. I feel like he's gonna be one of those people that end up having a lot more influence later on in the game. And then for Lil Baby, I feel like he already has a lot of that influence already, and he's already going at a fast pace. He just featured on J. Cole's new album, and he had a pretty good verse on that. And that already, and it's not easy to find somebody that can rap with J. Cole on those albums. He doesn't pick a lot of people. Y'all know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, y'all know. But
Cole.
yeah, y'all know.
You know what Cole do? Come on,
It's
now.
I don't know. He already has all that influence, and then you see Lil Baby on so many features and carrying songs and bringing different people up that you probably haven't heard a lot about before. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like as long as he keeps going on how he's going now, he's already gonna have a good chance to be in that spot later on. So
That is facts
Yeah.
for sure. New album coming soon. Him and Lil Durk, Voice of the Hero. That shit's gonna be
Mhm.
gas.
I think Lil Durk's gonna bring him down.
We're not gonna get started
Zay
on that on
is
this
just
episode.
hating, bro. Zay is hating
We
over
not
there.
gonna. Hey, Lil Durk hard. That's all I'm gonna say about that
All
one.
right.
Hey, bro,
Lil
they
Durk
finna
hard,
pull up
but
this
he's
podcast with the
started
album
back-
come
I feel
out
like Lil
talking
Durk-
about.
Hey,
I'm
no.
on you, man.
Before we start
Yeah.
slandering more rap artists, we
Yeah,
can
just
do what
gonna
Nate
let it
got
slide. But
what Nate got up his
Those are
sleeves on the
all
top.
fire picks. And also the crazy thing about all those artists, they all make music together. So music is looking real nice. But I did want to mention for all the people listening to the podcast, this was actually a listener submitted topic. So if y'all have any other topics y'all want to hear from us, feel free to throw them out, throw them in the chat, DM
Look
us,
at
do
that.
everything. Because this was a pretty solid topic, I think. So, shout out in the audience. You know who you are, who gave us this. So I appreciate that. But I was going ahead. I cut it down to one more topic for today. And I did want to talk, we were talking about our generation. I did want to talk a little bit about, not just music, but a little bit more on the relationship side of things. Because, me and Josh were talking earlier this week. And we're talking how it seems like in today's generation, we, at least from a male perspective, we do a lot more chasing on females or women. Excuse me, that's you're not supposed to say that, but for women, as opposed to kind of that courtingship that a lot of the older generations did. So I just want to kind of get y'all's take on what y'all experiences with that so far, and what do you think that causing this change is, or if there even is a change, what do you think the cause of that is? Kind of us doing more of the chasing without anything getting in return, or things along that line. So what do y'all think about that?
I'll start this off. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be on the wrong side with this,
Uh-oh.
but
I might have to edit this out.
I'm gonna just say what I'm gonna
Samuel's
say.
type beat finna
I'm
come.
gonna just say what I'm gonna say. Now, the reason why I think this is the case is because of what's going on in today's society. Like, woman power is like probably like a top 3 topic right now, and this has been going on for like the past 3-ish years. And now it's like the fact that we're trying to prove that women are worth so much more, which they are, and that like they have the ability to do all these things, which they can, has now gotten into some people's heads, thinking that now this means that men have to work even harder to get their attention. And even with all the effort that they put, it's not enough. At the end of the day, they can look and be like, on to the next. Like, that is ridiculous. I think that because they're saying that they're at like a higher status, they're starting to now want these like ridiculously built man. Like, it's not build a boyfriend out here, bro. Like, what is this? Like, I think that they're not at the state that like when they meet somebody, they can't accept the fact that like they might come with like a flaw or two. Does that make sense? Like, they hit
When did Kevin say this?
everything, but all of a sudden they don't hit that one thing. And it's just a problem. Like, they're done. They cannot compromise. I think that's the word I've been looking for. In today's society, there is no compromise. There is no, we'll work on this. It's, oh, you don't have this, you're dropped. And that's what I see majority of the time happening. Now, this isn't for everyone, but like generally speaking, that's the way I kind of view it right now.
Okay,
Y'all can
well,
go
Kev.
ahead and counter me if y'all want.
I'm not gonna counter you. I think I just have I just have an opinion. And I
Okay.
think you're right. But I think it's for a different reason. I think that compromising has now been switched out for settling. And so they think that compromising, which means that, maybe this person might not be able to do what you want, and you can compromise and figure out how to move on. They take compromising as, oh, well, I'm settling. I'm settling for this. I'm settling. And then the idea in their head is, okay, I'm settling. I'm tired of settling. Let me go find someone else. But then it's always going to be an endless cycle because I'm a firm believer that there's nobody on this planet that was put here to specifically make you happy. There's nobody like that. And there's no one, we're not telepathic. We can't mind read. So at some point, everyone's going to miss a box for their partner. It's just going to happen. And I think that the modern view on both sides, not just women, but men too, it has now been twisted as instead of compromising, they see it as settling, and then the thought in their head gets, oh, well, I can do better. I can do this. I can do more than that. And then they act on that, and then it's gone. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I'm gonna piggyback off of you, and I apologize if this is about to get a little long-winded. If I start going too long, Nate, just like cut my audio.
Hey, talk to him, Jackson. It's a move.
But so I saw an interesting thing that came out. There was a bunch of, I can't remember if they were actual legal lawsuits or just public outcry. And I know that you're gonna have to bear with me. I know this isn't the greatest example of how men and women think, but I'm gonna use Tinder Analytics. And the reason I'm gonna use it is for a very specific portion of this argument. And it's that because, and I'm about to sound like a geezer, but because we've had all of this connectivity with our peers, with people our age, you can see so many more people on a daily basis on your phone or in person than you normally could, or interact with so many more people, that it's becoming popularized for people to have thousands of followers and be normal people, like not have a following for, say, musicality or a specific talent, but for your looks or for maybe you're funny, things like that. You'll look and see people who have TikTok pages, like, the stupid one that my friends and I made that got like 12,000 followers, and that was just a joke, but that's 12,000 people who would see the videos that we put out. And so I feel like there's been this weird complex with people associating magnitude and quality of like an external appearance with quality of person. And I don't mean that in a negative sense, but to use the Tinder Analytics, there was a huge thing where they initially got a lot of backlash because Tinder, because it's, you know, a program, the people behind it decided they were going to use whether or not you got swiped right or left or how many times you got matched to create literally an ELO, like a ranked matchmaking game, in order to figure out where you should be bracketed in the app. And it's a smart tactic. It's meant to put people in literal competitive zones, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're to use Rocket League standards, you could be a supersonic legend or you could be bronze. And
imagine you get bronze on Tinder. That's crazy.
The app wouldn't tell you where you were.
Bronze,
the app wouldn't tell you where you were, but it was more meant to keep you within the range of people who it thought were similar to you. So that received a lot of backlash, in part because there was a disparity. And believe it or not, on that app, it was like a weird little like study. I can't speak to its credibility, but I feel like the number still stands, at least for the people that I know. I'm not going to say that this number is correct, but it found that the majority of men who were in the upper, I think it was 15 to 1% of that ranked bracket were receiving a huge disproportionate amount of the swipes as compared to the other 85% of men. Whereas with women, it was more of a bell curve. There were, as soon as you hit like a 6, it started planing out a little bit. And then once you got to the 10s, I mean, everyone was either swiping on them or not because they thought they were bots, right? So it was more of a difference in mentality. And the reason I bring that up specifically is to piggyback off of Josh's point. There's been so much, not even like in a negative sense, but so much empowerment for women when it comes to not like fitting the role of just being a man's wife. Like, you are a woman, choose for yourself. And that's such an amazing thing. And that paired with this birth of technology has given women who have always traditionally held the role of being the one who holds back, you know, like you pursue the woman chivalry, and a chivalry since you court the woman, you like bring her things and like try to win her over. You speak to her father to ask if you can marry her, that type of thing. Like if we're talking traditional sense, the woman was always given the role of maintaining that level of like hard to get or like purity or ascendance, right? The woman is what you are pursuing. She is meant to stay above you, at least in a very traditional sense in terms of chivalry. Mm-hmm. And that role has been further empowered to, yes, you are something that needs to be earned. And guess what? Now, instead of whoever's confident enough to come talk to you in person, I've got all these dudes who clicked 2 buttons and followed you on Instagram or like did this or that, and they're in the same role. But now, instead of having 4 dudes who are actually bold enough to come up to you, you know, whenever and try to start a conversation with you and are charismatic enough to engage with you, you've got 15, 20, 300,000 people who all want that same thing. That doesn't invalidate the woman's position nor these men's position. But when it comes to their ability to interact with each other, it's damaged. It's not going to come across in the same way. So you get this artificial sense of worth that because all of these people want you, you're worth more as a person than they are. And it's not, like I said, I'm not trying to speak to like a psychological extent of positive or negative, but I feel like that mentality carries over quite a bit more when it comes to, you say, how modern relationships work. So say, for example, I wanted to talk to somebody who had 80,000 Instagram followers. It may not be a matter of my character. It may not be a matter of who I am, what I can do, you know, what I'm worth, whatever you want to suppose it. But if I don't have, you know, 20,000, 30,000 Instagram followers, I may not appear to be in the same bracket. Because just like the Tinder ELO, you're not at my rank. You're not at my level.
You're bronze.
Exactly. I don't want to step down and play this non-competitive game with you. I want to improve. I want to play a competitive game. And I feel like that mindset has propagated quite a lot in modern culture. That there is some manner of, and I mean, I'm guilty of this myself. There is some manner of what you deserve to play with, like the level that you have earned. This is what I am. This is what I deserve. And I feel like that's on men and women's sides. And because there's been this huge explosion of interconnectivity, now people who would have just been viewed as, you know, incredibly beautiful back in the day, and of course would have people fawning over them, instead of having 24 people in their hometown, now have 450,000 people on their phone every day, and constant comments. Like Josh leaves under, what's her name? You know, the hard-eyed comments you be leaving. Yeah,
you gotta chill,
He got to chill like it's not true.
That setup, baby. That setup from downtown. I smoked
Oh,
that.
my bad. Zendaya too. It's cool.
Yeah, it's a day. But see, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing at all, Josh.
Not
What
true.
I'm saying is if we're to talk about how people respond to that complex, like that in and of itself is how you feed that elo system. And so when it comes to dating in the modern age, I just feel like so much of it is dependent on who you are in someone else's eyes before they know. Does that make sense? Like kind of what is your elo? I'll use the gamer term. What is your rank? What is your status? Especially as men, I will say. Like what have you done to earn this game that you're about to play? Have you played your placement matches? Have you grinded through gold and platinum and diamond? Are you playing in the Champions League type beat?
That is very true. I think you definitely, before I let you go, Nico, I definitely want to add on to that because I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Because I think the biggest thing for me is personally, I definitely think a lot of times we say, all I do is chase, and nobody ever hits me up and all that stuff. But I definitely feel like it's mainly just due to social media, and there's just so many options for people nowadays. And you talked a little about the psychology, this thing called like the upper limit, right? And so it's basically the point at which somebody thinks this is the amount of happiness they can have without anything going bad. And kind of that's something programmed into us personally to where we think this is all we deserve. And once we hit this point, something bad's going to happen or it's not worth it. And I feel like a lot of the times people see these people that they see on social media and they get it towards the idea of the upper limit in their mind that they actually should have versus what they see maybe their favorite artist having or maybe one of their friends or one of these models or something on Instagram with 30,000 something likes like you were talking about. That's their upper limit, but they kind of don't apply it to themselves and kind of project themselves onto what they think it should be. And a lot of times, and I'm not saying that everyone should have this amount of worth or this shit thing, but it's less about worth and more about what you think will make you happy specifically, right? I feel like that's a lot of times in today's relationships. That's where people kind of get twisted is they say, well, this person's not worthy for me, or this person's not the right person or the right kind of stature for me based on maybe they're in a different group or they're a lot more popular or such and such. They have this job and this thing, but it really goes back to, will this person really just make you happy in the point that where you can enjoy life? Because a lot of times that would be a lot more worth in the end than kind of that stature or what it seems like from that social media, which gets blown out of proportions nowadays. And I feel like that's really what's caused this change in trend to happen, kind of like you were mentioning a little bit earlier. But it's one kind of what I had to add on that too, kind of that idea of media having a good idea because it's causing a lot of men and women to feel a lot more confident and feel a lot better about themselves. But it's kind of twisting what we really look for in a relationship rather than what will make us happy and help us grow as people and mature versus kind of what society thinks is good. If that makes sense. And then didn't know if you had anything to add to that, Nico. Didn't want to cut you off or not.
I mean, y'all said so much, man. Like, I agree with everything you all said, to be honest. Well, after everything you all said, I just got to agree on the fact that, like, nowadays with women becoming more independent, they can provide for themselves, they're doing a lot more things, just so they can, be content with themselves, so they don't need a man, and like with women becoming, more dependent on themselves, we have to prove ourselves more. We have to do more to show them like, hey, like I know you don't need me, but like I'm here, So it's like we have to go more in detail and like try to, just prove ourselves more so we can be with these quality women. But also, I feel like it's like a trend because I also feel like with us having to chase more, but with women becoming more independent, they're also shooting their shots more. I feel like in my experience recently, at least, a lot of these girls and like female women are being like a lot more bold nowadays, and I just feel like it's just the trends go up at the same way as women are going into more independent phases, and like we're becoming like we're trying to prove ourselves more. It just kind of like goes up. And
I think that the overall trend has two potential outcomes. Either we see an overall net like of people trying to work on themselves and improve themselves because, like I said, because of social media, I personally think the ELO exists. I think that is a structure that exists now. And it's like I said, I'm not trying to say it's negative, because the whole idea of a ranked system in like a multiplayer game isn't that like you have to be born at whatever rank you are. You can work on yourself and improve your standing, and you can earn something. And I feel like earning things in life
can also
is a
drop.
huge motif, but it can also drop if you start being on some nonsense.
Yep.
And so I feel like that is a standard that allows people to hold others accountable it could be good, but it also could be very bad. A good example is, I think it was China. They debuted this system of like social credit, where it was like, imagine your credit score, but with like your social interactions.
Oh, that's a whole Black Mirror episode.
Yeah. That's like a whole stuff. There's like a whole thing on that, and it's the whole debate of, well, if you're going to numerically identify somebody's worth, if the closer and closer it gets to an equation, the more and more it gets to a numerical game, the more and more nuance there is to lose humanity, and the more and more ability you have to disparage others. So I feel like there's a good and a bad. Just depends on where people take it.
I also wanted to add on, because so when me and Nate were talking earlier in the week, I know Jackson mentioned it a little bit, but we talked about how back in the day, people weren't looking all over the world to find their soulmate. You know what I'm saying? You see a lot of people nowadays talking about, man, I need to travel. And I think traveling is great. I think you get to learn more about yourself, become more independent, get more experiences that add on to you and who you are as a person. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't like look for like what you have around you. So like back then, you were content with like what you found in like your city. You weren't out here saying, wait, there could be another one in like, damn it, 200 miles away. Nah, you were looking in the radius, man. You were looking at the hometown, and you were content with that. The problem is, now that we have, like you said, social media, it has just expanded the horizon. So people aren't anymore, they're not looking for like what they have around them. They're thinking that they can acquire any and everything. So it's just become a lot to choose from. Well, back then it was a lot easier to get to the point, because you're like, oh man, I went to high school with this person. There's only damn it 3,000 people that live in our like town. Like it's not that hard right there.
Thank God that
But when you're
increased
with millions of people, like, damn it, how do you choose, bro? Because
hey, I'm gonna tell you how you choose. I'm gonna tell you how you choose right here, right? If you think that you are bad, DM us on one of our social platforms. We'll let you know. We'll let you know your rank.
Oh, he'll let you know. He will. Jackson, no one else on the 5 Cents podcast.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Whoa. Y'all calling me a freak till it works.
Hey, look, that's all him. I got that.
I'm not gonna knock it, bro.
I'm joking. Please edit that out.
No, keep that in there. Let them know.
Oh, what you mean, bro? That was
let them know.
That was a
no,
joke.
it was a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke that needs to be heard.
Joke.
Let's see if people think it's funny.
For the official record, I am kidding to all the listeners.
Sure. But I think we summed it up pretty good. Because honestly, just a background, even outside of what me and Josh were talking about, I work with like high schoolers and stuff like that. And I swear, every day that same week, they were all like, man, I'm just worried about these girls. I don't know what I'm going to do. And they were just asking me for like, well, what would I do? Because I guess I don't know. But basically, I was just like, they're just worried too much about a system they really can't control nowadays. You feel what I'm saying? So rather than just playing too deep into kind of worrying about, oh, I'm not got to get my followers up, or oh, I got to do this and this to, you know, be better. Just live your life, improve yourself, and do your thing. And eventually the right one will come through no matter what. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, that's facts. One more thing.
Now don't you sell, because I know a lot of, especially for us dudes, a lot of y'all be doing perfect, be doing great, and start doing fuck shit. And that's what's messing up all these girls that are thinking dudes ain't shit, because y'all start selling.
You give up, and then you start doing fuck shit, and then you give the rest of us,
and now you fuck us up.
Ones that are just chilling. You get the rest of the good ones that are just chilling and waiting until we're primed and ready to enter the market. Yep. By the time we enter the market, our names have been so fucked up and tarnished just because of the way because we look like y'all that be doing the fuck shit. Just because we have the same name. Just because we have the same name. Just because we have the same name. Just because we're the same height. Just because we do the same things. If we have anything in common with one of the men that have been doing the fuck shit, we're automatically deceased. Because this is exactly what happens. They'll be like, oh, my ex used to do that. and then you're out, bro. You're done.
On to the
You
next.
didn't even do anything.
There was
You didn't
there
even
was a
do
whole
anything.
trend. Josh will feel me on this one. I'm not sure if you saw it, Josh. There was a whole trend on TikTok talking about if his name starts with a J, cut him out. And I was like, what? Like, huh? Hey, like, what you mean? Like, how am I supposed to do anything about that? You want me to change my name to just accent? Like, what? Like, what am I supposed to do, bro? And I got the analogy for y'all. A lot of these dudes are like Mark Sanchez. They play well enough to get to the league, and then they butt fumble, and they screw their chances of ever staying in the league, and they make the rest of us look bad. Because now you're like, oh, when you watch Mark Sanchez, if you watch that butt fumble play, I promise you, and I mean this 100%, like I mean this with my soul. If I was in that play, I would not have fumbled, and I have no business being in the NFL. And so when I look at that play, I'm like, you just made every NFL player look stupid because now people are thinking like I'm thinking. Like, oh, it's that easy? I just have to not do that? Okay, bet. Like, sign me up, Jets. Come on, where's my go? And so, come on, man. You can't be a Mark Sanchez. Go into the league, play your years, get your work in. Don't fumble, please, for the love of all that is good and holy.
Yep.
You were selling for all of us.
Okay.
I mean,
Also, that's why a lot of times dudes think it's just the female. It's not just the female or the girls.
No,
the women.
bro, it's y'all.
It's us. Y'all are selling.
Y'all too.
Oh, wait, I don't know who this us is.
Oh, well,
No.
as a collective male, not me. As a collective
it is
male,
y'all.
I'm not with that bullshit. That's why I always stay inside
no one on
my
this
house.
podcast is with the nonsense, but we know a bunch of niggas who are.
You know what it is? The problem is people are skipping the step of working on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That step has been skipped. People are looking for people to help fix them and their problems. That's not okay.
That's not how the fuck
You
that
need
works.
to get right. You need to be in a place where you could be in a relationship. You can't be searching for a relationship and you're not ready for one.
You can't,
because then you're messing it up for the both of us. You're messing it up for both of us.
It's just like if you were gonna go, like you can use that same NFL or any professional league. You can't go to a team and market yourself and be like, "Yeah, I have a torn ACL, but with your facilities, I'll be back and better than ever." Like, no, man, recover, get your grind back on, come back, and then re-audition. Like, put yourself out there again. You're not AP. You know, you're not one of the GOATs, right? You're not someone they're willing to drop hundreds of millions of dollars on rehab for just to get you back on the field. So earn your right to play. Don't come in and act like someone has to fix you up just so you can play the game. Do your own work. Go to therapy if you need to. It's a beautiful tool. It helps a lot. Make sure that you actually try other. Don't just go to one and be like, that's it, I'm done. Like, try it if you feel like you need it. Obviously, talk with your friends. Talk with your parents if you can. A lot of people are out there for you. I guarantee you that there is someone who cares about you. There's always an opportunity to improve yourself and to improve the way that you see yourself and to work on your ability to exist in this world and have happiness. And once you start finding that sweet spot, you'll start realizing how much better it makes the lives of everyone around you. When you are thriving and succeeding, the people around you will thrive and succeed. And it's contagious. And that way you won't feel like you have to be a burden on the person that you care about most, and it is the healthiest way to be in a relationship.
And don't let no one be a burden on you either. Like you don't want someone to be a burden to you. Don't be a burden to someone else. Make sure you're coming in 100%.
All right, but yeah, that's all I had for that topic. I think we summed it up pretty well. Just know your worth, know what makes you happy, and pursue yourself and improve. And that's all you really got to do to find happiness. Especially today, even with all the nonsense that goes on. But that's probably gonna wrap us up today for the 5 Cents podcast. We appreciate everybody who's interacting with us. We got a lot of good info, feedback for the first 2. Continue, follow us on all our socials: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We're all on all streaming platforms. Whatever you listen to us right now, make sure to keep us with us, follow us, leave a review, and let us know what you want to hear on the next couple episodes. But that's going to wrap it up for us. I'm going to leave it open to the guys for any closing words. Y'all got anything? Zay?
Nah, man. Thank y'all for listening, though. Really appreciate it. And tune in. Keep tuning in, man. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. It really helps. And, I really appreciate y'all.
For sure. Jackson, you got any final words?
Nah, man. Just take care of yourselves, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. I like to feel like there's someone listening to my rants other than these 4. So I appreciate it.
That's facts for sure. Josh, any final words?
A little bit. Hey, first wanted to say I appreciate you guys. I don't know why they looked at me like that, but
A
I
little
appreciate
bit.
you guys. I've gotten like a lot of feedback, like Nate said, like the past couple weeks of people hitting me up saying, "Man, I really enjoyed it." So just continue to do that. But if you can, try to do that, in the comment section on YouTube, or hit us with like a like, or a 5 star, just something to show that like you're truly interested, because that also helps other people that have your taste hear our voices, so then we have more people to talk to about this, along with you having more people to interact with. So just like somewhat, I'm not gonna say like do your part, but like if you genuinely like do enjoy what you're doing, like tell a friend, and like just try your best to shout us out a little bit. But appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. That's all I got.
And last but not least, Nico, any last words?
Really, I just want to say thanks for tuning in. Keep spreading the word about us and keep being great fans, man. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that's gonna wrap it up. Episode 3 of the 5 Cents Podcast. Hopefully, y'all got put on game for a little bit about something in today's world, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace. Y'all take it easy.
Peace.